Hi, and welcome to the End Times. In my previous video titled FEMA Camps Are Coming Part 1, I gave you source information concerning FEMA camps and who's running them and their real intentions. In today's video, I will show you executive orders which is part of FEMA now in existence, which can easily be activated by just the signature of the President of the United States. These executive orders, once activated, can suspend the Constitution and the Bill of Rights of every single person here in the United States. Once activated, the government takes over and can do practically anything within its power, including arresting and detaining you, interrogating you, confiscating your house, vehicles, and personal property, relocating you to wherever they want, and violating your civil rights. Remember, the Bill of Rights are suspended, so you're nothing but fair game. These executive orders in record for over 30 years can give the government the power to round up and detain anyone for whatever reason they see fit. Let's take a look at some of these executive orders and what they really mean to you and me. We will begin with Executive Order number 10990, which allows the government to take over all means of transportation and controls of highways and all seaports. This means that they will have full control of all highways and determine who will be allowed to use them. They will also have control of all the seaports and all ships coming in and leaving and all other forms of transportation like airplanes, cars, trains, and so on. Executive Order number 1099 or 1099 allows the government to seize and control all of the communications media, and that includes radio, TV, the internet, ham radio, satellites, cell phones, and so forth. This control of the communications media allows them to monitor all calls, suspend those they see fit, and reroute others. Executive Order number 10998 allows the government to seize all means of transportation, including your personal car, trucks, vehicles, or any kind, and total control of all highways, seaports, and waterways. Now, Executive Order number 10999 allows the government to take over all the food resources and farms. This means that government will determine who gets food and where the food will be distributed to. They will also have total control of all farms and use that farm as they see fit. Executive Order number 11000 or 11,000 allows the government to mobilize civilians into work brigades under government supervision. This means that labor camps can be activated and people will be assigned jobs as the government sees fit, all under the control and the watchful eye of the federal government. Next is Executive Order number 11001 or 11,001, which allows the government to take over all health, education, and welfare functions. This includes all the health facilities like hospitals and nursing homes, schools, and social services. Next is Executive Order number 11002, which designates the Postmaster General to operate a national registration of all persons. This means that a database of every person in the U.S. will be available to the feds for whatever reason they see fit. Those that are not registered will be registered. Next is Executive Order number 11003, which allows the government to take over all airports and aircrafts, including light and commercial aircraft, and determine who and what flies in and out of this country. Next is Executive Order number 11004 or 11,004, which allows the Housing and Finance Authority to relocate entire communities, build new housing with public funds, designate areas to be abandoned, and establish new locations for populations at their discretion. Executive Order number 11005 or 11,005 allows the government to take over the railroads, inland waterways, and public storage facilities, including all of your stored possessions in those public storage facilities and your boat and your docks. Executive Order number 11051 specifies the responsibility of the Office of Emergency Planning and gives authorization to put all executive orders, all of them, into effect in times of increased international tensions and economic or financial crisis. In other words, Executive Order 11051 will put all other executive orders into effect immediately. Next is Executive Order number 11310, which grants authority to the Department of Justice to enforce the plans set out in executive orders, to institute industrial support, to establish judicial and legislative liaison, to control all aliens, to operate penal and correctional institutions, meaning state and local prisons, including FEMA camps, and to advise and assist the President. Next is Executive Order number 11049, which assigns emergency preparedness function to federal departments and agencies, consolidating a total of 21 operative executive orders issued over a 15-year period. Next is Executive Order number 11921, which allows the Federal Emergency Preparedness Agency to develop plans to establish control over the mechanisms of production and distribution of energy sources, meaning electricity and fuel, wages, salaries, credit, and the flow of money in U.S. financial institutions, including your bank account and investments in any undefined national emergency. This means that your bank accounts and investments can be confiscated at any time, terminated and/or controlled as they see fit. This also means that the federal government determines who gets fuel and who doesn't, and who gets credit and who doesn't. It also provides that when a state of emergency is declared by the President, Congress cannot review the actions for 6 months. Amazing. FEMA has broad powers in every aspect of the nation. General Frank Salcedo, chief of FEMA's Civil Security Division, stated in a 1983 conference that he saw FEMA's role as a new frontier in the protection of individual and governmental leaders from assassination, and of civil and military installations from sabotage and/or attack, as well as prevention of dissident groups from gaining access to U.S. opinion and/or global audience in time of crisis. What does all this mean? Well, this simply means that whatever you say will be censored or restricted. Now, doesn't this sound like what the world leader known as the Antichrist has in mind during the 7-year tribulation period? Sure it does. FEMA's powers were consolidated by President Jimmy Carter to incorporate the next order known as the National Security Act of 1947, which allows for the strategic relocation of industries, services, government, and other essential economic activities, and to rationalize the requirements for manpower, resources, and production facilities. The 1950 Defense Production Act gives the President sweeping powers over all aspects of economy. In other words, the President will have total control of the economy. Now, the Act of August 29, 1916 authorizes the Secretary of the Army in time of war to take possession of any transportation system for transporting troops, material, or any other purpose-related emergency. This includes your personal vehicle as well. And finally, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act enables the President to seize the property of a foreign country or national, and these powers were transferred to FEMA in a sweeping consolidation back in 1979. Now remember that these executive orders can be put into effect just by the signature of the President of the United States. This is exactly what the book of Revelation in the Bible speaks about, when the Antichrist takes control of the world during the 7-year tribulation period. The government which you depend on to protect your liberties is the same one that will someday take those liberties away from you. That sounds pretty scary. Now this should serve as a wake-up call, warning you that many things are happening right behind closed doors which you are not aware of. Satan is setting up the scene for the Antichrist, and people are still doubting the nearness of the rapture and the return of Jesus Christ. I urge you to get off your video games, get off your self-interests, stop worrying about how you look or who's winning that what game, and start praying to God for help and guidance, because times are going to get rough. This is not the time to worry about yourself or worry about sports or worry about entertainment. This is time to get down to prayer and start looking for God's guidance and help, because times will get very rough. For more information on this and other topics, I urge you to visit my website at endtimes.us.com. May God bless you, and until next time, Lord willing. Thank you.